spooky but good boss of mine would be a lead writer-editor like Rod Serling, who said in an interview,
I think just surviving is a major thing. I'd like to write something that my peers, my colleagues, my fellow writers would find a source of respect.
So his supernatural powers is that he'd appear and narrate ordinary things in the office as if they had significance. But he'd say it like, also his supernatural powers is that he'd appear and narrate ordinary things in the office as if they had significance. For example, Rod would narrate the following 3 scenarios.
The company ice maker, clean to the naked eye, kept bento boxes, Lunchables, and temperatures cool. But without a filter change from our vendor, we could all be eating spores. Spores that could take over our brains, like the zombie-making ant fungus.
Then the vendor who was cleaning and fixing the fridge would say, "It's not that serious." Rod would not be deterred. Rod continues to narrate in other ordinary situations that show he is caring, but maybe a tad too spooky morose. The game of the scene is that he narrates as if people in the office are frozen, but we're not, and we can hear the worries that he narrates. We like him, but he is a bit spooky. Scenario 2.
A company, midday, Halloween party, complete with orange sugar cookie jack-o'-lanterns from Walmart. Ghouls, witches, and apparitions from the writing department convene with the IT department, who refuse to wear costumes. They are actually werewolves. They will transform and eat all of the ham and Gouda sliders before the monster mash begins. They look hungry, especially IT Bill, who has been eyeing me like a raw porterhouse steak.
Just once I said at the company summer barbecue that since humans can use pig insulin, I thought maybe we taste like ham. I'm not really a cannibal or werewolf, Rod.
Rod hands him a lettuce wrap 6-pack of sliders.
These lettuce wraps have a less than 3% chance of making it home to Bill's diabetic wife, Mildred. Bill will just consume it. And her. 15 years of marriage. Down his gullet. The object of his affection. And appetite.
Rod, I have meatless Mondays. I really don't eat that much meat anymore. It's very considerate of you sending me home with low-carb snacks.
A man prideful eschews sustenance when the moon is full, and his diabetic wife Mildred, as mild and saccharine as a lamb covered in maple syrup, will surely be slaughtered by her spouse. Bill will be a widower, of his own making, ignoring the lunar compulsion to shed his light blue polo shirt as a hairy menace. Yet his canine teeth will protrude from his snout, and his hands will indeed become clawed paws.
A howl happens. Arroo! From the other room in work doggy daycare.
Rod, I will not cannibalize my wife Mildred. I'll pick up my twin collies and I'll text you a photo that she'll eat the lettuce sliders and remain unmurdered by me.
The company, glad to pay for Mildred's prescription insulin, cannot control, but only hope she is alive for the family and friend sugar-free stevia cookie exchange at Christmas Bill.
Collies, Laddie and Lassie, licked the face of Rod, who gave them each a piece of Swiss and Gouda cheese. Scenario 3. Rod appears next to a group of employees. He rolls closer, scooting in an office chair. The employees are crowded around Jane's empty desk, handwriting signatures for her on a get-well card for the beloved coworker.
The company supports its nonconformist Jane. Since it is criminal and downright ridiculous, our humane cattle industry investors don't cut a check for a recovering technical writer. I will fill the gap for increased worker satisfaction with this $1,700 personal check. Slide that into the envelope, though Jane doesn't have a work injury.
Rod! The Get Well Soon card is for cosmetic surgery for Jane's transplant Wi-Fi toenails. This is Jane's optional surgery. She'll be better in 2 days. It's not your responsibility. She's not a victim of injustice. It's not a social ill you need to set right. Yeah, Rod. Jane will buy more outdated technology to implant if you give her that check.
Money, a corrupting influence. Even when I wish for Jane's well-being, I am preoccupied with the personal goals of my employees that transcend this office space in Coalinga, California, and give them meaning, no matter how quirky. Other bosses in another time and space, 13 miles up the road at our rivals, extra inhumane cattle industry consultants, are disproportionately indifferent to workers that write the advertisements and manuals that line investor wallets.
Boop, 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 boop. In an operating room, Jane is seen with a grafted, clunky VCR to her shoulder, and doctors pop in a vintage 1980s tape of the Chipmunks' Christmas. I Want a Hula Hoop plays.
Christmas, Christmas time is near, time for joys and time for cheer. We've been good, but we can't last. Hurry, Christmas, hurry fast. Want a plane that loops the loop, me, I want a hula hoop.
Bill's wife Mildred is present and eats sugar-free, green-frosted stevia cookies from the holiday buffet dessert table. Dogs Lassie and Laddie, arf, 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 arf. The collies wear ugly Christmas sweaters that say, "My dad Bill isn't a werewolf." Rod picks up Laddie, and on the back of the sweater it says, "My dad is a beer wolf." Lyft drivers await in the Coalinga parking lot. When they roll down their windows, they rub Vicks menthol vapor rub under their nose because all of Coalinga smells like cow. Bill helps to empty Heineken beer bottles into the recycling. He and Mildred and the pups wave to Rod as they get into a lift. Bill places a fake werewolf hand with brown fur and rubber claws on Rod's shoulder.
Rod, you worry too much, but you're a good boss for caring.
Rod magically is seen wearing a Santa hat he wasn't wearing a moment ago. He dangles a mini candy cane out of his mouth like a cigarette. The remaining employees wait for their lifts, cross their arms, and lean forward, expecting to hear a narration from Rod. Rod is not narrating. Rod is seen with an added Christmas red, yellow, and blue ornament lights necklace that appeared from nowhere. Jane uses her Wi-Fi toenails to Bluetooth speakers in the office parking lot for her VCR on her grafted shoulder to play Charlie Brown Christmas. Linus's Christmas speech can be heard. "Sure, Charlie Brown, I can tell you what Christmas is all about." Rod doesn't narrate, but raises a carton of oat milk eggnog to salute Jane as she leads the crew to sing "Loo loo 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 loo." Is Rod happy? It's hard to tell. He's not narrating, though. Rod looks in the fridge at the end of the party when custodians are cleaning up, taking out the recycled Christmas wrapping paper and turning out the lights. A sign on the fridge, in Rod's way of narrating, says in black marker,
Do not eat the food in the fridge left over after company Christmas vacation. Leftovers may cause zombie brain fungus.
Sleigh bells, do 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 do, are heard by the audience. Rod gets in Santa's flying sleigh.
Christmas Eve, the busiest time of the St. Nick. But what about the elf toy makers? I am better than Santa, better than other bosses, but that is the bare minimum. I'll spend New Year's consulting on elf worker retention and reindeer well-being. On Dasher, on Dancer, to all a good night. Mrs. Claus, you've been served. There is a conflict of interest with you as elf resources. By the way, what is the status of your break room ice maker? I bet it has fungus.